The morning fog curled around the pine trees like ghostly fingers, and the damp scent of earth hung thick in the air. My phone buzzed violently against the wooden nightstand, its harsh vibration slicing through the fragile quiet like a scream in a cathedral. It was 6:13 a.m. My eyes burned from a sleepless night, and my heart thudded in its familiar rhythm of dread. Ever since my son David had turned 17, I'd lived with a subtle but persistent fear, like a hairline crack in a dam, waiting to burst. But nothing could have prepared me for what I saw on my screen. From R. Heller-esque, subject your gen call me immediately. It's about your son. There was no salutation, no signature. Just that cold, chilling line. The kind of message that turns blood to ice and opens a trapdoor beneath your feet. I didn't even think. I dialed Richard Heller's number with trembling fingers. He picked up on the second ring. "Eleanor," he said, his voice low and rushed, like someone speaking from a trench. I didn't want to write this, but there was no time. "Are you sitting down?" "No," I whispered. "Should I be?" There was a pause. "Yes." I sat on the edge of the bed, gripping the phone like it was the only thing tethering me to this world. "David's been arrested," Richard said. "It's not petty. It's serious. Attempted murder." And his voice broke slightly. "You need to come in. Now." The phone slipped from my hand and thudded to the floor. "My name is Eleanor Mason. I'm 44, divorced, and I've lived most of my adult life trying to be two people at once. A loving mother and a woman building her own name as a portrait artist in a town that cared more for corporate titles than oil on canvas. David, my only child, was born in the winter of '08 during a snowstorm so fierce we named our dog Blizzard in tribute. His father, Greg Mason, was already cheating on me by then, but I didn't know. I believed in the picture-perfect family, the Christmas cards with matching scarves, the quiet lullabies sung under the hum of the baby monitor. But life is a sculptor, not a painter. It chisels you down with time and pressure until you become a shape you never imagined. David was always bright, maybe too bright. He had a mind like a puzzle box and a tongue sharp enough to slice egos in two. He read Kafka at 13, coded simple apps by 14, and by 15 he'd already hacked into the school's grading system. Not for himself, but to expose the principal's nepotism in assigning scholarships. He hated hypocrisy, he hated liars, and he especially hated his father. When Greg walked out, David never cried. He just closed his sketchbook, looked at me with eyes too old for his age, and said, "Guess now it's just us, huh?" At the law office, the rain lashed against the windows as if trying to force its way in. Richard Heller, a seasoned defense attorney who'd once saved a mayor's son from a vehicular manslaughter charge, stood at the window with his back to me. "He's being held without bail," he said. "The alleged victim is in critical condition. A kid named Asher Patel. You know him?" I knew the name. David had mentioned him once. Said he was a snake in a school hoodie. Richard turned, handing me a stack of papers. "There are witnesses, Eleanor. 2 students say they saw David and Asher arguing behind the gym. Then there's the knife." My stomach twisted. David doesn't carry a knife. He doesn't. But they found one in his locker. With blood. I couldn't speak. "He's saying he didn't do it," Richard added quickly. "He's insisting he was set up. And Eleanor, he's scared. He's angry. But more than anything, he's lost. When I saw David through the reinforced glass at the juvenile facility, I barely recognized him. His curls were flattened, his eyes shadowed with sleeplessness. But when he saw me, his mask cracked. "Mom," he said, "I didn't do this. I swear on everything." "I know," I said without hesitation, because I did. I knew. Here's where things get complicated. About 2 weeks before the arrest, David had come home late, face bruised, lip split. I panicked, of course. But he waved me off with that smirk he inherited from me. "Football idiots," he muttered. "Wrong place, wrong time." I pressed. He shut down. That night, I found something strange on his desk, a crumpled piece of paper with a list of names. Asher Patel's name was circled, underlined 3 times, with the words, "Don't forget," written beside it. I thought it was a homework list. Now I wasn't so sure. I started digging. As a mother, you learn how to find things, how to trace moods through phone histories, uncover secrets from half-erased browser tabs. I found a group chat between David and a few other kids, most of it cryptic. But one message from David stood out. "If I don't stop him, no one will. Someone's going to get seriously hurt." So I tracked down one of David's friends, Jessie Martinez, a quiet girl with a passion for animation and a soft spot for David that had lasted since middle school. After 3 cups of lukewarm coffee at the diner, she finally broke. "Asher was dealing," she whispered. "Not weed, something stronger. He was giving pills to freshmen, taking cuts from their lunch money. David tried to report it. The school ignored him. Then he caught Asher slipping something into a girl's drink at a party. My skin went cold. What happened then?" Jessie looked down. "David beat the hell out of him. I think he thought maybe he could scare him straight." Back in Richard's office, I laid out what I'd learned. He pinched the bridge of his nose. "This changes the motive, but not the crime," he said. "We need proof. Real proof." So we got it. It took hacking a party video from a private Snapchat group. Jessie had the tech skills. 2 meetings with the girl David tried to protect. She was too afraid to come forward, but gave us a voicemail and an anonymous tip to the school board. But the big break came from the unlikeliest place, Asher's own brother. A sophomore named Rami, who couldn't stomach the guilt anymore. He brought us the missing piece, the knife, the real one, with Asher's fingerprints and the blood of another victim from 2 towns over. A kid who'd been jumped, stabbed, and left unconscious outside a warehouse party. David had been framed to take the fall for everything. The trial was brutal. The prosecution painted David as a brilliant but unhinged youth with a savior complex. They used his intelligence against him, twisted his texts, painted him as a vigilante. I sat there every day, gripping the bench so tightly I left nail marks in the wood. But when Rami testified, the courtroom fell silent, and when the lab confirmed the blood on the planted knife didn't match Asher's, well, it unraveled fast after that. David was acquitted, his name cleared, but something inside him had changed. After the trial, we drove upstate to the lake where we used to camp when he was younger. I watched him standing at the edge of the dock, shoulders heavy, face turned to the sky. "Do you think I'm a bad person, Mom?" he asked. "No," I said. "I think you're a good person in a bad world, and you tried to make it better." He didn't say anything for a while. "I wanted to destroy him," he admitted. "When I saw what he did to that girl, I thought if the system won't stop him, maybe I should." I sat beside him. "Wanting justice doesn't make you a monster, but losing yourself to revenge, that's the real danger." Years later, David would go on to study criminal psychology. He now works with at-risk youth, using what nearly broke him to build others back up. And I still paint. Only now, I paint truth, because sometimes the most terrible moments in our lives, the betrayal, the fear, the fight for someone we love, are what carve out the space for us to become something more, something stronger. So when I got that email from my lawyer, I thought it was the end of my story, but it wasn't. It was the moment everything finally began. Life lesson. Never underestimate the quiet courage of someone fighting for the truth, especially when the world tells them to stay silent. And never, ever give up on someone you love, not even when the evidence tells you to. Because sometimes all they need is one person to believe in them. Just one. That's all it takes to save a life.